Hello and welcome back. I am so sorry that I've been gone these last 2 months. My life got a little bit hectic with Art Fight, my birthday. I had to quit my job for certain reasons, then I had to job hunt, and then I had to start my new job, and a bunch of people visited. It was just crazy. But I think things are starting to slow down now, and so I want to come back to YouTube. I love making these videos, and I don't want YouTube to be one of those projects that I start and then drop the second I lose interest, because admittedly I do that a lot, and I don't want this to be that. So here I am, hopefully to stay this time, and I will get right into the premise of this video, which is me redesigning my Sona. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so technically that was a lie because I'm not really redesigning my Sona so much as I'm making a new one, and that is because my Sona is what I consider to be me, in quotation marks. It's not super accurate, but one thing I really like to keep accurate is the hair, and I dye my hair a lot in real life, and so the Sona's hair changes a lot, and I didn't want to have to keep making new assets every time I dyed my hair, like the sidebar that you can see and my profile picture, etc. I think I've already had 3 different hair colors since I started YouTube, and that can get annoying fast. So I decided, let me make a YouTube specific Sona that is consistent and does not have to update as I update my hair. And that way, it's much easier to keep using the same assets and keep the profile picture for a while until I want to update it. And so this is my YouTube Sona, and it is also just more interesting looking than my actual Sona because I only draw my actual Sona in a sweater. I usually don't even give myself pants. And this way I can have a more interesting character that everyone can look at. For the design choices, I decided I would stick with the purple and green hair color because it has so far been my favorite hair colors that I've had while posting on YouTube. And I don't have that hair color right now, but I was too lazy to make a new asset with the purple and blue that I currently have, which I'm already planning on changing. So I decided, since I love the green and purple, that I would stick with that, and I would make the Sona sort of have a green and purple theme to it instead of whatever my favorite color is, which is pink. I did give myself pink skin, which, I don't know, I just love pink, so I decided I can get a little whimsical with it in this Sona, which is not me, but me. I think I was describing it as me, but if I was a character I made, you know. I did struggle a bit with the design part with the hair, because I wanted it to be interesting, because I like to have fun patterns in my hair, but I didn't want it to be just the checkered pattern that I usually have, and I wasn't sure where to go with it, and I kept trying to do asymmetrical stuff, but I think in the end I land on a symmetrical look besides the bangs, because it just looked the best and was less messy. And then for the outfit, I decided to keep with a large top, since I usually draw my Sona, which is a sweater, I think I mentioned, and so I decided to stick with a large top and a smaller bottom, which is a little skirt because I love skirts. And then these fun leg warmers, I saw someone draw them, similar idea, on Pinterest, and I loved the shapes of it, so I decided to do that, and now I don't know where the freaking Pinterest image went because I didn't save it because I am a bit stupid. I also wasn't sure if I should keep the cat ears and tail that I normally have on my Sona because I wanted it to still look kind of similar to my Sona, you know? But in the end, I decided not to. I have that little belt thing that kind of mimics a tail, and I felt like the top of my head would be too busy with the ears and everything, so I just decided to stick with the pigtails. So this was my initial design for the Sona, which I am just going to be calling Bees because that makes the most sense to me. It's Rigby's, you know, and my Sona is already called Rigby. So this is Bees, and I am really happy with how it turned out. I think this design is really cute. Here is the final version of the initial design concept, and this next drawing you may have spoiled if you have looked at my profile picture. As you may have guessed, this is obviously the drawing for my profile picture, which I already updated. Whoops, a little bit of a spoiler, but it's fine. I bet nobody even noticed. I didn't spoil the rest of the video, so it's cool. Anyways, so for this new profile picture, I decided to make it because I'm updating my Sona, so it only made sense. And I decided I would try to showcase my skill, but also what I like to draw, just as a quick get to know me first glance, you know. The things I like to draw are faces, creepy, ominous characters, and hands. I know that's crazy to say as an artist, but I quite enjoy drawing hands, and so I made sure to find a pose with a hand despite it being a headshot. I did find this pose on Pinterest as well. I'm pretty sure I saved it. Hopefully I did. If I did, I will post it. But I usually find most of my poses on Pinterest. I enjoy using Pinterest to find poses because it's easy. I just really wish there was way less AI, because fuck AI, I hate AI. Anyways, little tangent over. So like I said, I wanted to showcase what I like, creepy ominous characters. So I did the creepy grin, the eyeball showing, etc. This character is a little bit vampiric with the fang and the elongated ear. And usually I don't really like to draw my Sona with eyes. I don't know why, it just is not something I like to do, and I don't like when other people do it. But this character is leaning more towards character for me than Sona, so I figured it would be fine. Plus it adds to the vibe. I did, I think, color it gold or yellow or orange, something along those lines, which I tried to do because it was an opposite color to green and purple, but I don't think it really works. I don't know what other color I would use, but I'm just not sold on the gold yet. If you have any suggestions, feel free to suggest them. But yeah, so that's one thing I don't really like about this drawing, which might make me update it faster than I want to, because the whole point of this was to not have to update it, but whatever. I am onto the coloring stage now, and I love shading skin. That's one of my favorite things, if not my favorite thing about art, is to just render skin and have a bunch of different layers and just pile on the shading. It just looks so good to me. A close second is rendering hair. I add a lot of lines in the hair when doing my line art that's supposed to represent strands, I guess. It just looks good. And that really helps me with the shading because I get to focus on those parts, and it just makes it pop in my opinion. I did initially start rendering the hair in a purple color, you'll see soon, but on the green, since it's a multiplier layer, it looked like straight shit from a butt, so I later decided to change it to blue. I just think for green and purple, blue shading looks the best because it pops more and it just looks more vibrant and colorful. And I'm lazy, so whenever I have a section of the drawing that has multiple colors, like the hair has purple and green, I don't want to have to individually shade each section, so I just put a multiplier layer with a color on top. That makes it much easier to just color everything at once and then pick a color that looks good on top of them. Sometimes, if I can't find a color that looks good on all colors, I will airbrush the sections with a different color, but even then, sometimes I'm too lazy to do that. I like to find a lot of shortcuts when I'm drawing. I'm a bit ahead of myself here, but I did highlight in yellow. I just think the yellow looks good on top of these colors. Again, it makes it pop, it makes it a bit more vibrant. I also do that trick that a lot of other artists do for the hair, where you take the skin color and you airbrush it on top of the edges of the bangs, whatever is on the face, and lower the opacity, so it kind of looks like the skin color is popping through a little bit, so it kind of gives the illusion of transparency. Well, not transparency, but you know, in real life your hair has strands and sometimes you can see beyond it. It just makes it look, well, not realistic because it's not airbrushed in real life. I don't know, it just looks good, and a lot of people do it, and I've been doing it for a long time, and so I did that in here as well. And then for the clothes, I again used a blue on top because the clothes are also green and purple. But for my shading for the clothes, I use a different brush than I shade the hair and skin with. All of my brushes that I use are Jazza's brushes. I bought them a long time ago based on a Drawfee suggestion. I love Drawfee. And I have used them pretty much consistently since. Sorry if you can hear my partner's cat Bug scratching at the door. He wants to be let in so bad. Anyways, I think these brushes are so worth the money. I use them constantly. For line art, I use Jazza's ink, and then for shading the skin and hair, I use Oil Thick 2, and I just change the particle size for changing the size. And then for clothes, I use Marker Broad 2. I love the marker. I love how it works. I just think it looks really good on clothes, and I like mixing up my shading a bit with various things because hair and skin is a very different texture to clothes, so it makes sense to me that they're shaded differently and they look texturally different. I don't know, I just really enjoy art. I love art. Guys, I have not drawn a lot in August. I think I did one drawing in August. I missed it so much. I hate when I have art block. I hate not drawing. I hate having a job and having responsibilities. I just want to spend all day drawing. Art is so fun, you guys. I don't know if you saw, but I did have some proportion issues with this drawing that I kept having to edit, but I kept editing it at the worst possible time. Like when I had finished all the shading and I had to move everything and then individually fix all the shading. I do that again at the end. Like when I finished everything, all my effect layers. Oh, here it is. Here it's happening. Actually, I don't know if this is going to be lined up with the video because there are parts that I have to cut out. I'm really bad at lining stuff up. So I edited the positioning by selecting the top half of the drawing and moving it down a bit. And then I had to individually fix every single line and all the shading in that. And it was really annoying in the blush part of the face because I do the blush with lines and then I had to add all the shading back, but I used 1,000 rendering layers for skin. So it was all different colors, all in small spots, and then I had to fix the lines. It was all just really annoying, and I hate when I have to do that, but I figured I can't get lazy with the profile picture because it's going to be the first thing that people see. So here is the final piece. I think it turned out really good and exactly as I had imagined it in my head, and let's get into the final drawing of this video. It is my new sidebar with the new Sona, of course, which is going to be in my videos from my next one on until I decide to change it. I don't know when that will be. Don't worry, I have kept my cats in the top left. This drawing is just to replace the little drawing of my Sona in the bottom right, just for something to visually look at when you're watching the video so it's not boring, just a blank screen around the drawings. Except I didn't want it to be too detailed so it wouldn't take away from the actual main drawing focus of the video. You know, I saw someone else's video where they had a sidebar that was a fake drawing program, and I thought that was so cool, and I was toying with the idea of doing that, but I'm lazy, as I mentioned, so I obviously did not want to do that. So I just did this little meme redraw. It's so cute. The facial expression really speaks to me, and I thought it was really funny. And here is the final version. It was the last little quick one. Thank you so much for watching. Here's the new end card. Isn't that so exciting? I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you stick around. Feel free to subscribe and comment, etc., all that stuff. And hopefully I don't disappear for another 2 months. Bye!